Hi everyone, it is Miss Housen and Miss Peterson here. Today we're going to show you guys how to chunk your assignments in Google Classroom so that it is easy for students and parents, if they are also signing in, to navigate your Google Classroom. Today we're just going to start off by showing you a student view of a classroom that has multiple posts. So if I were a student and I were logging in for the first week of classes, this is a sampling of what some students may see if there are multiple things that have been posted for the week, even though each week they only have one assignment due. If we aren't chunking our learning opportunities into an assignment, then it gets overwhelming and students kind of are unsure as to what is the graded assignment. And then they're also unsure as to what information here is important or what goes with which week and what's due when. So we're going to show you by setting up a sample Google Classroom. Ms. Peterson's going to take over and she's going to set us up a sample classroom where we can kind of go through together and see how quickly and easy it is to chunk the assignments.
All right, so I'm going to take over here and show you my screen. We're going to start from the beginning and go to the splash page for Google Classroom and start by creating a class. And we're going to name our class after the GBHS convention, which is last name, class title, and then period. So the goal of this is to organize your classroom so that students are receiving the least amount of notifications because they have 8 classes at maximum. So we don't want multiple posts per classroom per week, and then the thing that you need graded will be lost in the shuffle. So we're going to start off by going to classwork, and there shouldn't be anything in your new class. You're going to hit create, and we're going to start with material. That way we can organize what students need to do versus what students are accessing as a learning opportunity. So I'm going to open up the curriculum for English 9 honors, how it's shared and rolled out by the county. So English 9 teachers received a folder full of the resources that students are required to be able to view in the curriculum. And what we're going to be doing is looking through these resources and determining what the singular learning or the singular assessment activity that will be counted as a grade, and then chunking the rest of the resources under a learning opportunity resource. So right off the bat, we have an assessment opportunity called Stanford Prison Experiment. We have an assessment, and that it will be the one thing graded at the end of week 2. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on this resource, and then I'm going to look at all the other things that aren't due for a grade. So we have an assignment 1, an assignment 2, a Cornell Notes. This is a Google slide and another Google slide on Kohlberg, 6 stages of moral development. So all of these things are the extra resources that students will need to access but won't be counted as a grade. So what I'm going to do is take all of these extra activities and I'm going to lump them underneath one assignment, or resource header. So I'm going to call this week 2 learning opportunities.
And while Ms. Peterson's typing that, I just want to remind you guys, so there is different options there, right? Like you can post an announcement, an assignment, or a resource. So this option that Ms. Peterson selected was resource.
So then you will be able to link directly if your curriculum is being rolled out through Google Drive. You can link all of these resources directly into your Google Classroom, but I do suggest that you make a copy for students separate that isn't linked to the original if you have edit access. That way you're not editing anything for the county.
If your class is one that doesn't have resources from the county or all resources from the county, you can also just upload all your resources into your drive and you would be able to drag them there just like Ms. Peterson did with the county drive.
So now that I was able to share the resources from the county drive and load them into my resource, I want to make sure that students are clear about how to access these resources and how they fall into your learning plan. So I want to use the topic creation tool to make sure that all of this stuff is organized so that students know what was for each week. So I'm going to call this a week 2 materials topic. That way it'll be categorized under week 2. And I do want this to be assigned to all students. You can also differentiate your assessment based on individual student. So in the description, I would definitely utilize this to guide students as to what each resource does for them. So for example, you might want to reference this learning opportunity ethics defined Google slide, use this later in the assessment, or access this Cornell Notes template while you're watching a video. So you want to utilize this description in order to allow students to navigate these multiple attachments within the assignment. So once you have this in the resource and it's ready to go, you've filled out your description for student navigation, you've added your topic, you can go ahead and post it. You can also schedule things to post later if you are ahead and you want to post for the following week.
And I also would clearly label, we know that we've been sharing with students what learning opportunities is a non-graded thing, but you could also clearly label there in that description that these assignments will not be graded for the week.
So now I'm going to go ahead and add that assessment, that week 2 assessment, and I'm actually going to call it week 2 assessment. You may want to put some asterisks that let students know that this is the thing that will be graded, and you're going to assign your point values out of 100, which defaults, and then you'll determine the due date based on how you plan on grading. So I usually have my assignments that I post on Monday. They will be due that Sunday of the week that it's due. So week 2 would be due on the 19th. And then I'm going to go ahead and load this assessment in. So this assessment, since it's an English assessment, it has reading materials and multiple choice questions. So it does appear as 2, but it's chunked under a singular assignment title. And then I also want to indicate that this is a week 2 material under the topic so that I can organize it for students around those learning opportunities that they received. And then I would also go ahead and write out instructions on how students are supposed to use these attachments to complete their assessment for the week, and any other ancillary instructions on how to turn it in or access it for that week's assessment. So now you see that the 2 materials posted underneath the header week 2 materials. Now I want students to access these learning materials or learning opportunities before the assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and use the move tool or the move feature using the 3 dots to make sure that students are clear that they complete this resource first or view it this first before completing the assessment. Ms. Housen, would you do you have anything else to add?
I would just click over to the stream, Ms. Peterson. And you can see now, we could go through and add myself as a student, but what we're looking at now is just 2 posts there, and it's much easier for the student then to digest, like, okay, these are the 2 things I have to do for the week, rather than having the multiple posts, and it's not as clear to students what needs to be done for the week.
All right, so I think that just about concludes our video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Ms. Housen, and we can walk you through how to chunk your assignments so that students are not being inundated with announcements.
Thanks, guys.